Imani Cheers is assistant professor at George Washington University's School of Media and Public Affairs. My colleague Elaine Reyes asked her about YouTube's downsides.
With any popular medium, you're going to have, unfortunately, some negative results to that. And what we're seeing with YouTube is, because on the one hand, right, anyone could put anything up there, but also anyone can put anything up there. So realizing that everything from, we've seen with a movement to talk about, sensible gun reform and gun care. And then you'll have entire YouTube channels, not just individuals, but full channels teaching people how to make 3D guns. And things that you were like, whoa, is that the type of content that we want on these open source free platforms? It plays into psyches, especially of the younger generation, and there are negative downsides to that.
What happens to the people who aren't as strong mentally as others? I mean, what happens there? Are we seeing an increase in depression? Are we seeing people affected by this taking steps to become more perfect?
Sure, and that is unfortunately, as we mentioned, the downside of the peer pressure, the bullying that can also come from these platforms. And when there is a ideal, quote unquote, person or an ideal image or an ideal style, and when you realize, when you look in your own mirror as a young person and you don't fit that, that can lead to some issues with their self-esteem. But what we've also seen on the flip side of that is a movement, right, to combat the not only cyberbullying, but the negative imagery that you see, the embracing of our differences and your individual uniqueness that is inspiring. So you have young, I mean, we're talking about children, which is, we're talking about people who are still forming, their ideals about themselves, about the world, about what's accepted and what's expected of them. So when you have these platforms, as I mentioned, it's open source. Anyone can put any content on YouTube. And of course, the things are being flagged for being, sexually perverse or overwhelmingly violent. But overwhelmingly, you can also just, again, do anything you want. So we're trying to figure out ways in the educational community, especially when working with, in particular K through, those early college years, realizing that it's okay to turn the phone down, right, shut the laptop off, and realize that that is a world that is created. It's not reality.
So, we have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, now there's Snapchat. I mean, are we just still seeing the beginning, the emergence of social media? Or do you think we're just going to go through this phase and in a couple years, it'll be something else. It'll be over.
Absolutely not. We are just getting started. And on the one hand, that's really, really exciting. All of these platforms are evolving. Instagram, for example, launched IGTV earlier this summer in June 2018. And that was another platform because they realized they were losing a lot of their viewers who wanted longer form content. And you can just go to YouTube to get that. So they wanted to get some of that market. You look at the way filters, right? One platform has filters, another platform is going to, adopt that aesthetic for their platform. So we're at the very beginning. YouTube is the original. They're kind of the, the grandfather, the OG, as my young students call it, in the social media field. But it was a place that, my favorite YouTube story goes back to Issa Rae of HBO's Insecure, and she started her career, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, on YouTube, creating content, putting it out there, sharing it with the world, and then we've seen where that was able to launch her career into a larger platform. So I think for a lot of people, that's exactly what YouTube is for, a place for you to be creative, to share your content, hoping to then get to the next level. For some people, network television or movies or music or fashion or the beauty field or even fitness and entertainment. So I think YouTube is going to be around for a while. I think we're going to see new platforms come and go. There was Vine and Periscope, for example, were really big, 2 or 3 years ago, and now they have faded out. But YouTube, again, it's been consistent for well over 15 years, so it's not going anywhere.